Good morning, and thank you for watching us here for Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. If you are joining us via YouTube, we appreciate your viewership as well. My name is Eugene Daniel. I am currently in the studio alongside with producer Sarah Calloway and meteorologist Craig Moeller, who we're going to hear from in just a few moments. A few things that we are monitoring right now. We are waiting to hear from House leaders as they are trying to avert and stop this government shutdown. Currently, we are in the third day of a partial shutdown at the moment as they are trying to come to an agreement on a spending bill at least through most of the year. DHS and its funding have been the sticking points on that, and you can see at the top of your screen there that there is currently a setup for people who are wanting some accountability and some changes when it comes to the Department of Homeland Security. We will get to that as well later on in the stream. We'll monitor it for when they start. But for now, let's talk about this weather. We have just been hit hard over the last several days of that winter weather, the snow, the ice, the winds. It's still cold, though, out there. We have meteorologist Craig Moeller here to talk to us about that. But Craig, good news is we finally got above freezing.
We did yesterday. That streak of 132 hours and some extra minutes in there, it came to an end as temperatures by, I believe it was 11:50 in the morning, got back to freezing and above freezing right after that. By the 1 o'clock update, we were above freezing for the first. Topping out in the 20s and 30s each day. So we are in much better shape. Now, as we take a look here, wind chills still low 30s. It's a little breezy out there, a little cool. Wind chills through the afternoon in the upper 30s. So not too bad. The wind's generally west-southwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour or so. Temperature trend over the coming week. You see that, Gene? What do you think? Look at those numbers.
You know,
like those?
On a normal time, I would not be happy to see 40s, but given our recent circumstances and how many days we've been below freezing, man, 40 sounds like a day at the beach to me.
I will tell you, weather, when it comes to communicating the forecast, it is all relative, right? When
Yes.
you've been stuck in the 20s and 30s for days and days and days, 40 sounds pretty good. But if you look just below the banner where it says next 10 days, look down below that, you see AVG, that would be average high. 51. So my point in showing you this is we are staying below average in all likelihood until the end of next week. I think Friday into Saturday is when some of the other models are pulling for temperatures getting a little bit warmer than that. So we've got this long stretch of very cold weather. Here's something that's a little more positive as we look forward. This is the extended kind of outlook. Well, there's precip, but we want to get into our temperatures. There you go. The 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, we may actually be back above average when we get into the middle part of February. So little something to look forward to. Now, what we're not looking forward to, if you're over all the wintry weather, we've got some more chances for precip. I want to zoom in and take a closer look at that because while we are dry right now, look at the futurecast. It looks like we could see some snow showers off to the north. There's a quick moving, what we call a short wave that slides through overnight. So some rain showers, temperatures here in the mid-30s for Norfolk, but cold enough to the north where we could see some mix or snow showers kind of working through. That's overnight. Doesn't look like we're going to see much in terms of accumulation, but there is that chance for some light amounts off to the north. As we go through the day tomorrow, we're going to see chances for rain down south, and eventually it looks like we could see some more wintry mix across Hampton Roads, changing over to snow potentially. And this model is a graph model. Now, this model is the most bullish of all the models that I'm looking at. It's saying, okay, yeah, you're going to get snow and it's going to be heavy at times. I'm not showing you this because of that. I'm showing you this. This is the This is a model that is proprietary with WSI and the weather company. The Weather Channel relies on this graph model a lot. A number of broadcast companies, including 13 News Now. This is kind of like the in-house workhorse for kind of shorter range. The other models are not doing as much, but you just saw pretty good chances. Sometimes the graph is really good. Sometimes, like other models, it can overdo it. So I'm going to show you the snow potential from 3 different models here. Then I'm going to give you kind of my thinking right now, okay? You can see, first of all, the Euro only going about a half an inch across the south side, with maybe a little bit more than an inch down around Ahoskie and Elizabeth City. And that's for the stuff coming up Wednesday night into early Thursday. So, you could conceivably see a heavy dusting or a coating on the ground with maybe, say, an inch or so in some areas down to the south. The GFS, which is the American Global Forecast System, is really not producing much. Most of the area not seeing much at all. A little bit tonight off to the north, Tappahannock, Melfa could see a little bit. But that next round down to the south, where you only see 1/10 of an inch, that's barely a dusting. Maybe a half an inch to an inch, Emporia out towards, say, Ahoskie, those areas. Okay, that's the GFS. So 2 models, neither one of those, again, there's the Euro, there's the GFS, neither one of them doing a lot. Now I'm going to show you that graph model, okay? And the graph model was all over the place with the snow projections this past weekend. At times it was going high, then it would go low, then it would go high, then it would go low. It was kind of flip-flopping a lot. You can see this graph model is far and away producing a lot more snow than the other models. I'm not ready to bite on this, okay? Not yet. If it continues to do that and the other models start to trend that way, then we'll adjust these numbers up. Right now, the thinking, and this is pretty consistent with what the National Weather Service is actually putting out of Wakefield. When I was looking at kind of what I was thinking, I looked also at their total snowfall projections. And right now, we're kind of in alignment thinking, okay, light amounts, dusting to less than an inch for those outlying areas. In that area in blue, there could be some areas that maybe get an inch, inch and a half. Locally, a 2-inch snowfall, a possibility. But again, those other models are lighter, and some of this that falls will be melting because the ground is warmer now due to the highs today and tomorrow above freezing. So this map can change. Eugene, you hear us say all the time what? Stay tuned.
I'm about to say, where are you going with this?
He hears us say a lot of things. We're not talking Bears football here. We're talking about the forecast. No, we'll say.
But yes, you do say that a lot.
Check back because things can and do change. This is not the final forecast. This is kind of what the thinking was this morning. If the models start to trend towards that graph, we'll take these numbers and bump them up. If the graph starts to go down even lower, we may take these numbers and lower them. As far as overall forecast confidence goes, pretty high confidence that we're going to see some rain tonight with some snow mixed to the north, and then chances for some snow tomorrow night. So 2 rounds of it, okay? Pretty confident in those precip types. What I am not confident in is the snow totals. Again, the models are varying. None of them are going with really, really heavy snow, but obviously the graph there trending towards a moderate snowfall. So I don't have a lot of confidence in these snow totals at this point, okay? The storm timing, very confident because all of the precip timing has been pretty much universally agreed upon by the various models. So the bottom line is, again, people will take from these updates what they will. I would say there's a good chance that we'll see some snow or mixed precipitation. We'll see a round of it later tonight, mainly north, and then a second round tomorrow night into early Thursday. There could be some accumulation. Stay tuned. We'll let you know as we get a little closer to that second round tomorrow night. Currently, we have mostly sunny skies to partly cloudy conditions. That's the Thompson Creek Window Company Sky View. It is 37 at the airport, feeling good with the west wind, 6 miles per hour. Conditions pretty good out on the water. Highs today, low 40s. Finally, after 8 days, we're back into the 40s, mid to upper 40s for some inland areas. A little cooler to the north, but mid 40s for the most part on the peninsula. Middle peninsula around Gloucester. little cooler Matthews over to the eastern shore, and down at the Outer Banks, low 40s. We will see mid to upper 40s for our inland areas. I know we're going to take a break and come back with more on the Outer Banks. I do have some more stuff to share with you on that a little later in the show. 33, that's where we're headed tonight. Some showers developing, mixing to the north. And then tomorrow, chances for showers. It's going to be likely, especially in North Carolina. But by late afternoon and evening, that's where we'll start to watch for a little bit of mixing and then snow potentially Wednesday night. 7-day forecast right there. Nice, easy weekend, Eugene. It does not look like you will have to work Saturday into Sunday this weekend.
Goodness.
It seems like
I'm
that's
really
all
glad.
we do, yeah.
Not that we don't love our jobs,
Yeah.
but, a good solid 2-day
Weekend
weekend
off
would be nice
yeah,
right now.
I'm with you.
And, I'm already thinking ahead for a lot of people, too, the following weekend, right? Now we're in Valentine's Day type of territory.
Yep.
People are trying to figure out now their plans, if you haven't already. Is this going to be cuddle weather?
So it actually, I showed that outlook kind of through the middle of February, and it looked like it might trend a little bit warmer. There was actually 3 days in there where the temperatures were a little bit warmer, and I believe one of those 3 days was on Valentine's Day. So
set the roses outside, maybe.
Or at least take a walk. Maybe take a stroll on the boardwalk or along one of our beautiful bodies of water. So anyway, colder this weekend, and again, I know we're going to talk a lot more about the Outer Banks coming up in just a few minutes.
Absolutely. And let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, and we will talk about more houses falling into the ocean there in OBX in just a bit. Thanks for sticking with us here for Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. Right now, we are monitoring 2 live events that are happening in D.C. At the bottom there, you see House Republican and leaders there are speaking as we are awaiting a very important vote to end the partial government shutdown right now. And at the top there are House Democratic leaders who are speaking outside of an ICE facility in D.C., calling for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to resign and accountability within the department. DHS connected in both of these situations, not just obviously what I just told you at the top there, but one of the big points of contention right now when it comes to this spending bill is whether or not we should increase funding for the Department of Homeland Security. So we're keeping a monitor of both of those situations. We're going to bring you those later on in the stream as well. But for now, we do have Craig still with us talking about this weather and the impacts that we experienced over the last few days. And once again, in the Outer Banks, we saw more homes falling into the ocean. 4 homes in total from Sunday into yesterday collapsed into the waters. All of these in the Buxton area. You're taking a look there at video that was captured by a viewer who sent this to us the moment this home, the first of the 4, fell into the water there over the weekend. You can see the waves of that storm coming in, and this has been a concern that we've had, as we've also seen beach erosion become a problem in the Outer Banks. We talked about it right here on this stream, Craig. You were sitting with us when Sarah asked the question. With the winds and with the waves, could we potentially see this happen? And unfortunately, we saw it happen.
Yeah, a couple of things. You look at that video there. It's really interesting. You see snow on the roof of the house as it's going in. It's such a rare thing, to see the snow out there on the Outer Banks, the southern Outer Banks especially. Obviously, it can happen. There was also freezing spray there, but look at how angry the ocean was. We had winds. Remember this. We had winds in excess, gusts down to Duck Pier up to 60 miles an hour early on Sunday morning, and some of those winds gusting even higher down along the southern Outer Banks. So we really had some strong winds driving the wave action, and with that beach erosion, you see what's happening there. Derek Lytle was down there, and Sarah, I don't know if you have that package that we could run that, but the information, there's a couple things. Why don't we listen to it and then speak to a couple of things in that story, because for people down there, businesses, these cleanup efforts really affect everything they're doing as well. And it's a mess. They've got to figure out what to do to better handle this situation.
Third house is gone. Ooh, that house right next to us is not looking good.
Water rushing in, filled with debris from multiple homes crashing down in Buxton, North Carolina.
We've had 4 houses in the past 2 days go in. And all up and down the roads, looks like that.
Hunter Hicks owns several businesses in Hatteras. He believes after the last round of homes fell in the same location early October, cautionary measurements could have been taken.
Cut the houses down on a nice day, pulled them out of here, and not have the carnage like we have now.
He says cleanup will take several additional months now and believes jetty systems will not cut it, wanting county leadership to look into other alternatives, like cutting more inlets to allow the ocean to breathe.
Start building bridges and cut inlets out. The jetty's going to help a little bit, but it's not stopping Mother Nature.
Floating debris poses a serious safety concern impacting business owners, fishermen, and surfers in the ocean.
For our concern, it messes up our businesses and stuff like that. Our offshore boat, longer days. Sport fishing, we go out there and end up hitting a piling, that ruins our whole season, sinks the boat. What if somebody, what if you sink the boat and we don't have somebody around to help us out?
13 News has reached out to the National Park Service about a cleanup plan moving forward and have yet to hear back. Derek Lytle, 13 News Now.
Now, Craig, off the bat, there were some things that caught your attention in that story.
Yeah.
First of all, shout out to Derek, who did a great job covering all the events happening in the Outer Banks. But what stood out to you about that story?
So a couple of things. First of all, the homes that are being lost, okay, they've been in peril. They can see that the ocean is eroding the beach around where these homes are on pilings. And, they know they're going to go. These aren't, homes where people are living in them and all of a sudden the house starts to creak and the next thing you know, you're awakened in the middle of the night with your house falling into the ocean. It's not like that. These are vacant homes. But what that business owner brought up, the question, he's like, why aren't we taking some of these homes, cutting them down on a nicer day when the waves aren't all the way up to them and moving them out, getting that out? Every time one of those homes collapses into the ocean, all of that debris just churns back and forth. It can stretch out along the beaches. And to that, businessman's credit, he's saying, hey, we have boats that can be damaged by debris in the water. There are surfers that could be hurt, beachgoers. There are industries that are impacted. If you hit a piling with one of those boats, it sinks a boat or it damages the boat. That costs a lot of money. And who's left to clean that up? We ran stories on this last time, Sarah, I know on the weather desk, and I think we had some conversation. It's on the other businesses and homeowners in those areas to clean up their own beaches. It takes a while to get that stuff out. Then you've got nails, construction debris, everything else. So it really is interesting. And then the other point that he brought up, you put jetties out there and it helps break a little bit. but the idea of cutting more inlets so that the water can move in and out of the sound and kind of, as they put it, breathe a little bit, that may be a better solution to just trying to tame the waves with jetties and then still dealing with this erosion. It's just such a serious problem, and it's been going on now for a while. And to see, what is it, 31 homes?
30 now since 2020.
Yeah.
31 since 2020, and last year we just had a plethora of them that fell in the fall months. And, you know, it's something, I guess, for me, I don't want to become desensitized to this because this is someone's home. Now, they're unoccupied, they're privately owned. You know, we're not talking about people being inside of them and living in them. But still, that is, as fascinating as it is to see, you know, this happen, Craig, it has to be sad for the people who own these homes, who built these homes, who purchased these homes, to see them fall into the water like this.
And, you know, you take a look at this. I can't speak to all of these homes, certainly. I don't know who owns what. I do, or I've been told anyway, that some of these homes, you know, were owned by people that don't even live in the area, that were investment properties, and maybe they were able to get their money out of it through rentals and whatever for a number of years before this. But this is still property, and, you know, they're not insuring those homes at this point. Those are losses, you know, just because they know the seas are rising. They know the wave action is eroding the beaches, and some of those areas are extremely vulnerable. So I think when we take a look at this and we consider all the sea level rise, the frequency of storms, some of the other things going on, there's also a reason why insurance rates are going up along the coast as well. Some insurance companies won't even touch some properties here along the coast. So that's a bigger challenge as we're moving forward. But for now, with what we're looking at there, the idea that maybe they start proactively getting these things cleared out so they don't just crumble into the ocean and become somebody else's mess to deal with.
Yeah, it's definitely a sight to see, but certainly also you can imagine for the people who own it, not something that they had in mind when they either built them or purchased them however many years ago. But the folks in North Carolina, Craig, we were talking about some of the conditions they're still having to deal with. And right now, NCDOT still working on NC-12. And I want to give you a quick update that just came through minutes ago, like 5 or 6 minutes ago. NCDOT saying that NC-12 on Ocracoke Island will reopen at 3 p.m. today. There's ferry service to Hatteras. That will also resume, with departures from Hatteras at 3 and 6 p.m. and then departures from Ocracoke at 4:30 and 7:30 p.m. NC-12 on Pea Island, though, remains closed, but NCDOT says progress is being made. And I believe that we have some I know this is stuff that we had from the last few days. You can
we
see
have a look right now.
overwash.
If we want to take Max one, there it is. You can see the Canal Zone, Oregon Inlet. That's looking south there, Hatteras and Ocracoke. Those are all images that are fairly, I say, live-ish. You know, they update every so many seconds. You know, they pop up a new one. And we do look for some movement. I saw a car moving down earlier down around Hatteras, and, you know, we saw some activity there. So some of those roads starting to open up, but that overwash was an issue. They anticipated it, and they were prepared to deal with it.
And I'm glad you mentioned the Ocracoke, Oregon Inlet, route, because that does remain closed between Oregon Inlet and Rodanthe as of now.
It looks like they're still working out there to clear it on that. You see that vehicle out there, and we've seen some heavy machinery moving some of that sand around. I also thought it was interesting when we had Layla Cox down there at the Outer Banks. We were talking again about how cold it was with all the spray and the sea foam and some of the overwash, that there was actually some of the sand was freezing up solid, you know. So while the ocean obviously was a little bit warmer and churning and mixing and moving, there were areas where that sand was starting to clump and ice over. So that's a big cleanup for folks down there, maybe a little bit more than what they just always have to deal with this type of an event.
Certainly an event that it was. You know, we were talking, Craig, in the days leading up to it, and I said, man, I can't remember. And turns out I don't think I had heard of a system that we had experienced since I've been here that included snow, strong winds, tidal flooding.
Yeah, well,
the type of waves that were there. And I just hadn't seen that personally since I've been here.
I will tell you, and I'm trying to pull this up real quick just so I just want to give you the exact number here. For Hampton Roads, the nor'easters, when we have true nor'easters, and this was really more of a coastal low. It's interesting. We take a look at, and I'm pulling this one more time. Hang on a second. We talk about, is it a coastal low, is it a nor'easter? Those nor'easters can be slow movers. And here we go, Hampton Roads. There we go. They can be just a situation where you have those types of winds, not just for like an 8 or 12-hour period like we saw with this, but it can go on for days. So, it's really interesting. Some of the worst that we've seen in my time here have been those nor'easters. And again, going back to the early aughts in the late 90s, we had a couple of them that were on the heels of one another, where as soon as you recovered from the one, it was like the next one was on top of you. And that's where you can get every single element from, the freezing cold and the terrible winds, and then the tides and everything else. You think about it, it's almost like those nor'easters could be like tropical systems in the off season, the winter. So very, very tough.
Well, Craig, man, we appreciate you, man, not only for stopping by, for all the work that you've done in the days that we've had here. You worked some incredible hours. I know we all did, but, I think for our Mets in particular, we know it's not just the hours that you're here, but also when you're at home monitoring everything as well. So I just want to tip my cap off to you, because you guys put in a lot of work with this last storm, and here we are on the back end of it. Finally.
No rest for the weary, though. Like I said, we're going to be watching a couple short waves coming on through. So we'll keep you all updated. Again, stay warm. Enjoy those highs today in the 40s.
We certainly will, Craig. We appreciate you, man. Thank you. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Well, thank you for sticking with us here for Live Impact News. We want to turn our attention now to Washington, D.C. At the top there is a press conference by House Democratic leaders against the actions of DHS and ICE. But at the bottom there, we see House Speaker Mike Johnson speaking to reporters at the moment as we are awaiting for both sides to come together to agree upon a spending bill and end this partial government shutdown. We're going to start with the House Speaker.
Need a steady hand at the wheel. I think Tom Homan is a great guy to do that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I just want to circle back on the judicial warrant situation. Can you just explain to me why we're talking about adding additional requirements. Either adding additional warrant is adding an additional requirement to this process. I mean, immigration advocacy groups for years have said, don't open the door for immigration agents without a signed warrant from a judge. ICE's own field manual says entering a home without a warrant is typically a violation of the Fourth Amendment. How is this raising requirement? Isn't this the MO for how things normally work?
No, I mean, look, the question is to the Democrats who are ringing the bells and saying that they're trying to make this one of their demands in this negotiation. That's what I'm told. Some of them have. And I'm saying that is a road that we cannot and should not go down. And to your point, ICE, for many years, obviously, has had in the manuals that you follow the Fourth Amendment restrictions and you do this in a meaningful and thoughtful way. But we have an unprecedented level of opposition and pushback. When you have local and state officials informing their citizens that they should impede the immigration, customs, and enforcement operations, it creates a dangerous situation, and that's what's led to all this chaos. If the governors and the mayors in the blue cities and states would participate with federal law enforcement, we wouldn't even be having these conversations. I mean, you would have a much smoother process, I think. So, look, we're going to have all these discussions over the next couple of weeks. We will figure out a path through this, but we have to enforce our immigration law. The American people made that the number one issue in the last election. The wide open border and the chaos that ensued because of it was the number one issue. The president got to work. We used the existing law that was on the books, as we always said, as I said, for 4 years under the Biden administration could have happened, and we closed the border tight. In just a couple of months, we've had almost zero illegals released into the country since President Trump took over. Strong leadership. And the next commitment was, as we said to the American people, we will get the dangerous criminal illegals out of the country. And that's what they've been doing. And for anybody to impede that, they are impeding the will of the American people. They are creating a more dangerous situation on our streets, and it has to stop. So stay tuned for the rest of this. We'll get into the details of it. I'm just telling you that adding a whole new layer of judicial warrant requirements is an unworkable proposal, and I think the people who are making that suggestion understand that. I don't think they want anyone to be apprehended and sent out of the country, so we have to see how it goes. Yeah, thanks.
Question about elections.
Okay, you just heard from House Speaker Mike Johnson there. Now, we did record the first portions of that press conference. We will circle back and play that for you so that you can hear their remarks and that we can hear it honestly as well as we were talking about the forecast and the weather impacts. We do now want to turn our attention outside of an ICE facility in Washington, D.C., where now we have House Democratic leaders who are speaking about some of the issues they have been calling out with the Department of Homeland Security and in particular the immigration enforcement actions by this administration over the last several months. So let's listen into what they are saying at the moment.
We're all grateful that Liam and his dad are free, but many more children and families remain at the ICE detention facility that Liam and his father were held at and traumatized by. There is a 2-year-old baby in prison there right now. A mother detained with her 2 sons will celebrate her oldest turning 18 tomorrow. She doesn't know if her family will be separated. A mother and father from Venezuela in detention begged for medical attention for their child, who was refused until she needed to be rushed to the ER, and she's a 1-year-old girl. While the warden walked us to the housing units, a young boy walked past me and said, "No school." These children have not been given education for over a year. There's been no education in the Dilley facility for over a year. A mother shared that the water is bad and causes the children to be sick and malnourished. And a girl said that guards are mean to her and don't let her play with the other children. She's now been at Dilley for over 120 days. This is a prison, except not one single person there is a criminal. And I know that's true because ICE told me so. Dilley must be shut down. This is a machinery of cruelty and viciousness that Secretary Noem has overseen. The Trump administration has built, and people like Texas Governor Greg Abbott have been complicit in upholding. We must not allow ICE to kidnap any more children and bring them to prisons where they profit off their pain, misery, and suffering. People are being abused and killed at these facilities. Children's spirits are crushed and their bodies are broken. Congress must put an end to funding this madness and disband ICE. And most of all, Secretary No must be impeached and held responsible for her cruelty and disregard for the law. And Americans across the country are standing up and saying that this is not America and that this is not the America that we want. And we must listen. With that, y'all, I'd like to call up, I believe we have Yvette Clark, who is here. No? Gil Cisneros? All right.
Go home. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Rep. Gil Cisneros from California. And, you know, as is my right, I went to go visit the Adelanto Detention Center in California, which is a private prison. As required by law, as it's in the law says, right, we can go anytime. Well, they denied me. They said I needed to give them notice, even though the law says I don't need to. So the second time we tried to go, we gave them notice. They denied me again because they said it wasn't long enough. So we tried again, this third time. This time we gave them a week's notice. Finally, they let me in. I met 3 people. They only gave us a couple hours to talk to a few people. So I was able to talk to 3 of them. All of them being held for months, not knowing when they're going to be released, not knowing when their bail hearing is going to be, not knowing what their fate is. Shame. Shame. It definitely is shame. And I'll share one story about one individual. It's a woman who came to this country, fell in love, married a United States citizen, and she did come legally, by the way, was doing the right thing, trying to do the legal process to be able to stay here, to stay with the man she loved, who's a U.S. citizen, checking in like she was supposed to, as they required her to do. For years this went on that she did this. And then finally they just picked her up and took her and put her behind bars. A woman who never committed a crime in her life, never been to prison, never been to jail or anything, locked up at this private prison. Finally they broke her. And she says, even though it's going to separate her from her family, I'm just going to self-deport. For 4 months, they've been holding her. Even though she said, I want to go, just get me out of here. I will go back to my home country. And they're still holding her. And why are they holding her? Because like I said, these are private prisons and they get paid to keep people locked up. That's why they're not letting them go. That's why are they holding people in these temporary detention centers for months. Facilities that were not designed to hold people for long periods of time. This woman is trying to go home and they are denying her that. This is just one of the many reasons Kristi Noem has got to go. She has no respect for animals. She has no respect for people. And she definitely has no respect for the law. So with that, I'm going to call up next Joyce Beatty. Rep. Joyce Beatty.
Thank you. I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty from the state of Ohio, Chair Emerita of the Congressional Black Caucus and an Executive Board member of the Women's Caucus. Let me say to all of our caucus chairs, thank you for being here today, and to all of my members. We are not just standing here today. Leader Hakeem Jeffries has had us in every one of our districts across America, speaking out, holding round tables. And today we are here because lives are lost and leadership has failed us. Under Secretary Noem, the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have become agencies defined by chaos, cruelty, and a complete disregard for human lives and accountability. Renee Good and Alex Preddy should be alive today, and you will hear this a lot, but instead, families are grieving while this administration lies, stonewalls investigations, disrespects the members of Congress, and refuses to answer to you, the public. That is not enforcement. That's neglect. Masked agents, unmarked vehicles, women thrown to the ground, pregnant women mistreated, and investigations blocked at every turn. So we are standing here We are writing legislation. We are demanding results because this pattern of abuse is not power. It is an isolated mistake, and let me say it loudly and clearly. No one is above the Constitution. And we will protect our democracy. And to you, Christy Nome, you must go. And I am so proud to stand with Congresswoman Robin Kelly as she has filed articles of impeachment. Christy Nome, we're coming after you. We're not afraid of you. And we stand united. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Chuy Garcia.
So obviously you're hearing there from House Democrats, and remember all of this as we are awaiting for the Democrats and the Republicans in the House to reach some kind of agreement on continuing the funding for our government. Right now we're in a partial government shutdown, which means there are members of the FAA and some TSA members who have been going without paychecks. Now we're looking at 3 days, nowhere near what we experienced at the end of last year, all the way through November, where we saw 43 days, the longest in history government shutdown that we've experienced here in America. But the two sides do need to come to an agreement. House Speaker Mike Johnson has said that he believes that they can do that. We will see if that can take place today. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. And then on the other side of this, we told you that we would let you hear from the House Republicans as well and their GOP leadership press conference that they held just moments ago. We'll share that on the other side of this break. Okay, we are back with more live Impact News. Here's what's happening right now. We're focused in Washington, D.C. because the government is in a partial shutdown right now. And in the House, they're expected to have a vote today that would hopefully get us towards ending that. At the top, though, you see there are some House Democrats who are holding a press conference. We showed you that on the other side of this break, against ICE outside of an ICE facility there in D.C. At the bottom, we're expecting to hear from other House Democratic leaders. We believe probably we'll have some of the same things that we just heard in the press conference, but we'll see when we go to it. The good thing about that is there'll be opportunity for reporters in the room to ask some questions, which we know they will do at that time. But we do want to let you know, moments ago, the GOP had their chance to be able to get their word out ahead of this vote that we're expecting to see today. And I want you to hear from them. This is led by House Speaker Mike Johnson, who spoke for quite a bit of time. We'll play it at least for a little while until our next break. But I do want to hear from them again to see where they stand as we're trying to end this partial government shutdown.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope you all are staying warm, and glad to see everybody. The sidewalks are starting to get de-iced, so that's a bonus, right? But let me comment on today's appropriation vote. No president has been stronger or more consistent on securing the border and removing criminal, illegal aliens from our communities, period. Strongest president ever. I have complete trust in President Trump that he will continue to enforce the rule of law, including each and every one of our immigration laws. So here's what we're going to do this afternoon. One, we're going to pass the legislation to finish funding more than 95% of the federal government at Trump spending levels, not Biden spending levels. And two, on the sliver that remains, we will keep the wheels of progress turning and let the president do what he does best, and that's negotiate a final deal on his signature issue. And I'll tell you what, if anyone can get this deal done that is going to crack down on illegal criminal aliens to protect our community, that's going to be President Donald J. Trump. So, with that covered by our president, House Republicans are remaining focused on Americans' pocketbooks. Tax filing season began last week, and thanks to House Republicans, it's going to be easier than ever for working families to file their taxes. And why, you ask? Because Republicans expanded the standard deduction. To put it in plain English, the first $31,500 a family earns is tax-free. So the first $31,500 of every family, tax-free. And that does something else that's very important. It saves you time. About 210 million hours of paperwork gone. And that's 210 million hours and 210 million hours of time that the Americans people can spend on doing what they want to do, not filing their tax returns, burdensome tax returns. But here's what's really important that's missed. Every single Democrat voted against that $31,500 standard deduction. Every single Democrat voted against saving you time and making tax filing easier. And every single Democrat voted against saving you money. Remember, and I say this every time I'm up here, and one of these times it's going to get covered by y'all, every single Democrat voted to raise every single American's taxes. I'm going to say it again. Every single Democrat voted to raise your taxes. Please highlight that in your stories. I mean, I would think the Democrats would be proud to raise your taxes. They need to own that. Republicans are saving you time and saving you money. So this week, House Republicans are taking that message directly to the people. All across the country, we're reminding Americans exactly what happened and the impact that it will have on their families. Simply put, Republicans voted to make tax filing easier. Less bureaucracy. That's a good thing. Republicans voted to cut taxes for working families to keep more money in your pockets. Democrats, again, voted against that. Democrats want more bureaucracy, and Democrats want more of your hard-earned tax dollars. Democrats want to raise your taxes. Republicans want to lower costs and keep more money in your pocket, simply put. So now I will turn it over to our whip, who's done an amazing job, Mr. Emmer. You can raise this. Without sweet. Oh.
We need some Earl.
Yeah, there's funding for that in the bill.
There. Now I can actually see what I've got. Once again, Republicans are making clear that we are the party of responsible governance. While Hakeem Jeffries foolishly urges his members to hold the American people hostage for the second time in less than 6 months, House Republicans are preparing to vote, as we've already done, to fund the government with individual appropriations bills. We passed these bills once before, and we will pass them again. As promised, Republicans in the House have reclaimed the power of the purse. 11 of 12 America First spending bills have passed through both the House and Senate, and now we're going to finish the job. That's what governing actually looks like. The American people deserve a functioning government, and House Republicans will deliver. Just like the Democrat government shutdown in October, Hakeem Jeffries and far-left Democrats want a political show. What's their angle this time? Obstructing President Trump's successful law and order agenda. Thankfully, Republicans thought ahead. In response to the devastating Biden border crisis, we proactively funded immigration and customs enforcement operations for the next 4 years in the One Big Beautiful bill. The Democrats' attempts to stifle immigration enforcement and protect dangerous criminals, especially in my state, will prove to do nothing more than hurt law-abiding Americans. Some in their party actually know this, and we hope they will do the right thing. But even if not, law and order and responsible governance will prevail thanks to Republican leadership and despite obstructionist best efforts. We must get this government funding bills to President Trump's desk swiftly for the good of the American people. And with that, I turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Whip. Well, look at that.
Is that a bird?
Whoa, it's like autopilot here. We've got a runaway podium. The Democrats have tried to shut this thing down, too. Once again, today, Republicans will reopen the government after Democrats shut it down. It's like we've seen this movie before, just a few weeks ago, that Democrats shut the government down for a record amount of time, and it took President Trump working with Republicans to finally get it reopened. And we're going to do that again today. And as the whip said, if some Democrats want to join us, we welcome them. But you've seen their leaders, like Hakeem Jeffries, say they want to keep the government shut down. And you'd ask why. Well, it's surely not over ICE, because we've already funded ICE in the One Big Beautiful bill. But what does a no vote mean today? If Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries vote no today, they're voting against a 3.8% pay raise for our troops. That's in this package. What they're saying is they don't want our troops to even get paid, let alone get a pay raise. Because as it stands today, troops will not get their next paycheck if Hakeem Jeffries and Democrat leaders get their way. TSA agents who keep our airports operating so people can go see relatives flying around the country, that will shut down if Democrats vote no. FEMA is right now giving aid to a lot of states that have had massive damage from freezes. Democrats voting no shuts that down. And so Republicans will be the responsible party once again to keep the government open, to reopen this government, and focus on the priorities that the voters elected Donald Trump and House and Senate Republicans to go implement. We will keep doing that work, even with a razor-thin margin. And I know, yes, sometimes the odds look lower than the Patriots winning the Super Bowl, but that's okay because we are here to do a job, and we're going to do that job. And whoever wants to join us on the Democrat side is free to. And look, we've been able to deliver a lot of bipartisan wins on a number of areas. If you look at holding people accountable, Chairman Comer's right now in the middle of a negotiation with the Clintons. Bill and Hillary Clinton were subpoenaed on a unanimous vote, Republicans and Democrats voting unanimously, which almost never happens in the Oversight Committee, and it did, to say they have to come forward and testify over the Epstein files. And they have been refusing and refusing for months, and finally at the midnight hour, when a contempt resolution is sitting over their heads, did they finally start talking, but they are not in full compliance. They have until noon today to fully comply. Otherwise, we will move contempt tomorrow against the Clintons. And again, that was a bipartisan vote out of committee to say that nobody's above the law. The Clintons have to comply with a subpoena like everybody else. I think it was Jamie Raskin who said, when you're subpoenaed by Congress, you have to show up. We'll see how he votes on that tomorrow if the Clintons fail to comply. But we're going to keep doing our job. We're also bringing an important bill on critical minerals to the floor to open up the vast resources of this country that have been shut down by the previous administration so that we don't have to be reliant on countries like China for the critical minerals that run so many of the products we use every single day. This Republican majority is going to keep delivering for the American people while we meet the basic obligations of government, like keeping the government open and reopening the government, which we'll do today. The man at the head of that effort is our great speaker, Mike Johnson.
Okay, and this is as we see House Speaker Mike Johnson, who is coming up to the stage at this moment. I think we need to take a quick break right now, but we will come back to this. But we are seeing House Democrats. You see there Ted Lieu, who is speaking. Again, they are holding a conference at the moment. Let us take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay, thank you for sticking with us here for Live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. As we told you, House Democrats had just begun to speak. This, as a very big vote, is to take place today, hopefully on ending this partial government shutdown. I will let them speak at this point.
Lead any rational person to believe that, 100 Democrats could vote for this. If they have a problem passing these bills, they need to talk to Hakeem Jeffries. But the first step was in admitting that this can't pass on suspension, and so now they have to pass a rule. They pass a rule, which we'll see in the next few hours. Then we'll have a quick debate, and we'll see where members land on this. This has been the unifying force of members, though, has been these themes. Right, has been Kristi Noem is the head of this agency that is seemingly lawless and doesn't care about the First, Second, Fourth, or 10th Amendment, and she's got to go. We want to protect our communities. We've said that from the very first press conference that the vice chair and I did last year after the president, pardoned violent criminals. And that continues to be a focal point, is what is best to protect our communities while respecting the rule of law. And what we know is that Kristi Noem she doesn't believe in this. They're willing to let Stephen Miller make policy over there, and I think what members were also showed is 59% of Fox. This is a Fox poll. 59% said ICE was too aggressive. So Speaker Johnson is on the wrong side of this. He's already dismissing some of the reasonable reforms that we're offering. The proof continues to be the American people speaking in a poll, at Fox, or speaking at the ballot in Texas. The American people are fed up of this. They are fed up of lawless ICE. They are fed up of runaway budgets with no accountability, and they are fed up of the rhetoric that Republicans are trying to offer to justify this lawlessness. And it's going to be on us. It's going to be on House Democrats to push back. And we will push back now. We will push back in February, and we will push back all the way through November until we get an opportunity to change the temperature in this place.
A few weeks ago, I went to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and met with nonprofit groups and local law enforcement. We did a Democratic field hearing, and their stories of abuse are horrific. You have Trump's ICE completely being out of control. We also know that the public pressure is working. The Trump administration is starting to backtrack. They removed Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Greg Bovino from Minnesota. We also know that he has now engaged in anti-Semitic comments. He needs to resign. We also know that Kristi Noem yesterday issued a directive saying all field agents in Minneapolis must wear body cameras. That is a start, but every one of their agents across America needs to wear body cameras like real police officers do. And I encourage American people to continue this public pressure and to exercise their First Amendment rights.
Michael?
Just to drill down before I ask my question, you're going to wait to see if the Republicans can pass a rule before you decide how you're going to vote, or you know?
Or I'm going to wait until we pass a rule before I tell people what I'm going to vote. But either way, it serves the same purpose. But look, we've over the last couple of days, the vice chair and I have tried to create an environment with the leadership team where we hear directly from members who are struggling, who are frustrated by what they see. And the week back home, where we talked to folks in our communities about the local lawlessness of ICE, really put a finer point on that. We weren't, in D.C. comparing notes. We were back home talking to our communities, and we're the ones that have to look folks in the eye who have experienced some of these tragedies and horrific behavior. The vice chair in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and many other folks visiting ICE detention facilities or trying to visit ICE detention facilities or talking to community leaders and advocates. But time and time again, what we hear from our colleagues is we have to make changes. We have to reform DHS. They were given unlimited amounts of money by House Republicans, and we need to have meaningful reforms because they are unchecked. They have been proven time and time again unworthy of our trust and unworthy of the benefit of the doubt. All of us are here on the Democratic side. I know the vice chair and I feel this way. We want government to work. We know it can be an instrument of good. We know it can help people in their daily lives. And what these folks are doing sets all of us back because they are now going to be afraid. And I talked to our local law enforcement leaders about this in San Bernardino County last week. Local law enforcement is concerned that people aren't going to report crime or they aren't going to say that they are a witness of a crime because they're afraid that everybody is working with ICE. And that hurts us. If people don't feel like they can answer a police officer's question on what they saw for fear of their status, that sets us all back. And by the way, every one of these law enforcement agencies, I met with locally, they have an identifier on them. They have their name on a polo. They have their name on their uniform. It says which agency employs them. They have a clear identifier as to who they are and where they work. Shame on us if we can't create an environment that mirrors exactly what our local governments have been doing and have been doing well and have been doing with the trust and support of our community members.
Mr. Chairman, 3-year extension through a discharge petition during the last shutdown, after the last shutdown, and it's languishing in the Senate right now. It's not looking like it's going to get
Yeah.
a vote. You and Republicans are far apart on these reform demands that you all are looking to get in a world where any of these reforms happen. And we can talk about all the different ways that they could. Are you concerned that the same thing that's happening with the ACA subsidies, where the bill is languishing in the Senate right now, is the same thing that will be happening on ICE and DHS reforms?
No, I'm more hopeful. I'm more optimistic that House Democrats and Senate Democrats are united in reforming ICE, and I know that our Senate colleagues are supportive of the Affordable Care Act tax credits too. That faces difficulties with 60 votes and needing so many Republicans to join on board too. But I will tell you that the conversations I've had with a small amount of senators, it leads me to think that they are united with us. They want to stand, with us to reform this terrible agency, and they're willing to, stand up and speak up and use their voice and their platform and their vote in order to make that happen, because they see what we've all seen. They see that this administration is trying to tell us, don't believe your eyes, trust us, and we know that they're not worthy of that. So, I feel confident in the strength of the House Democratic Caucus and our unified purpose and message. No matter what the vote outcome is, we're going to walk out and we're going to be focused on how we get rid of Kristi Noem and how we ensure that DHS is a reasonable organization, and that's going to take significant reforms to get there. One step at a time. We got the rule vote in front of us this morning, and in the afternoon we have our vote. I'm not going to presuppose what's going to happen in 10 days today, but I will tell you that it's been shocking to see that House and Senate Republicans don't even want reasonable reforms to this lawless agency. They're seeing the same numbers and the same polls we are. The American public is standing with us and asking us to do something, and John Thune and Speaker Johnson are willing to just do nothing. They're willing to just let the status quo continue. House and Senate Democrats have said time and time again that's not going to happen. Andrew, and then.
Grassroots groups, progressive members have said that letting DHS funding continue to lapse is in itself the leverage that is needed to do things like get Kristi Noem out of office, to get significant reforms at ICE, including beyond body cameras and things that folks say are not significant enough in the aftermath of these Minneapolis shootings. What will you say to the base when inevitably there are enough members who have said they're going to vote to pass the government funding bill on final passage? What will you say to the base when they say you guys have just given up your leverage?
What I'll say to all of you and what I'll say to the members, first, we got to see what happens with this rule vote. You're making an assumption that this package passes in the afternoon, and I think that's fair. That's fine. I'll play along, but what you'll hear from members and what you'll hear us say to folks, inside, outside, whatever organizations you call it, is, we have more opportunities. We have more opportunities for leverage, not 6 months away, not in the next appropriation cycle, not, September 30th. We have some opportunities to make our voices heard in the next 10 days. And if we can build a coalition that includes our Senate colleagues and includes the American public who are seemingly already with us, that's a good first step. So that's what's in front of us. We'll see what happens with this vote, but I feel very confident saying that House Democrats are going to emerge and to say we need reforms on ICE. We have a list that we want done, and we aren't settling for half measures. And if Leader Thune and Speaker Johnson don't want to come to the table and negotiate real reform, then they're going to have to explain to the American public why they're shutting down, agencies. And maybe that's something they're comfortable, doing, but that's not going to be on us. It's going to be on them approving the lawlessness of ICE without making simple reforms that respect the First, Second, Fourth, 10th Amendment, and tries to offer some level of accountability and oversight over these agencies.
Thank you, Chairman. It appears this deal we're voting on today stems from Leader Schumer talking directly to the White House. Do you feel that House Democrats are being included enough in those conversations, especially if we get down to the road of negotiating possible changes to ICE later on?
I don't think we were party to that conversation, last week. That's fine. Look, we play the cards we're dealt. We're voting on the measures that are on the floor. I'm not interested in playing parlor games over, who talked to who or hurt feelings about, missing a phone call. I don't care about that. My colleagues don't care about that. This is the vote in front of us. This is what we have. We have a rule vote coming up shortly, and then we have the full bill that includes the full year funding measures for the 5 agencies and the 2-week CR for DHS. That's in front of us. We've been asking for simple reforms to this lawless agency. We're going to continue to work with the American public and build a coalition that gets that accomplished, because nothing's going to change until we actually enact meaningful reforms to this agency.
There seems like obviously several Democrats broke with the party to recommend it out of committee. I guess, do you guys think, do House Democrats owe it to a former president and a former presidential nominee of their party to protect them from bipartisan subpoenas?
Like, this is about, and I don't want to get ahead of the committee. Robert Garcia and the committee members can talk about their votes and explain their votes, but criminal contempt of Congress is a very serious thing that should be reserved for, we should only vote on something that serious when someone completely thumbs their nose at Congress and doesn't want to, come in and meet. The Clintons have proposed a schedule to meet. They've accepted every condition that the chairman has offered. So clearly there is no basis behind a contempt vote, and a yes contempt vote right now. There's no basis for that. We won't support that. It's completely ridiculous, and it just shows the partisan nature of Chairman Comer. Right. This is, I told you before when this came up a couple weeks ago, right? Like, this is all political theatrics. This is about him wanting to score political points because he probably was at a rally at some point and yelled, lock her up. That's all this is about, is him trying to fulfill that, conservative, wet dream to make that happen. And so that's just that's where we are, and that's the politics of this moment. But there's no basis for a contempt vote, and I hope one doesn't come to the floor.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage your press to go look at these allegations. And I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said, essentially, that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's actually not correct. If Jeffrey Epstein was human trafficking minors for these sex parties, and you show up and patronize the establishment at that party, yes, you're guilty, because patronizing is part of the law, of the federal sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls. It is uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not do under this law was to invade the privacy of these women now who were girls at the time who were victims of sex trafficking. Also, he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, moved her to minimum security prison, and then got a puppy for her. So for all those reasons, he's just got to leave the Department of Justice.
Thank you.
Okay, they said a lot there. One of the things, though, you heard them mention are former President Bill Clinton and obviously former Secretary of State. We got Hillary Clinton, his wife. They have now accepted the opportunity to testify. Now, if you recall that they had been called and were almost going to be charged with contempt of Congress for not showing up as part of an opportunity to talk about any involvement or accusations in the Epstein investigation. Well, now they have agreed to show up and to testify in this, and so that's why you were hearing them speak about that at the moment. Obviously, from the Democratic side, they wanted to immediately pivot that to some of the accusations that they say are coming at President Trump, mentioned in the full release of the Epstein files, in which we reported here on the stream just last week that another 3 million of those files were released. And remember, that is a lot of documentation information that's coming out. Okay, so you have tips that people called into the FBI. You have docs that are directly related to the Epstein investigation. You have, a lot of information and tips and callers where you can see within this these papers released that there wasn't a follow-up. There wasn't an investigation. Things that were not deemed to be either credible. All of that is still full within this just stack and stack and stack of digital papers, right, that we now have access to. Still waiting for at least about 3 million more documents in that. But as we continue to see that, you're likely going to see either names and accusations that come out that either haven't been vetted, in some cases will be worthy of looking at more. And that is kind of what you're seeing now from the calls from both sides of the party to investigate some of the information that has since come out. And so glad that we were able to show you that in real time. But now we do want to take another quick break. We'll be right back in a few minutes with more here on Live Impact News. Okay, welcome back here to Live Impact News, where the big conversation today is coming out of Washington, D.C. that impacts everywhere, right? On whether or not the House is going to be able to reach a agreement on this spending bill that will end this partial government shutdown. We've been talking about and teasing to listening to House Speaker Mike Johnson. We hadn't been able to up until this point. So at this point, we will play his remarks today and the questions that he received so that we can get a better gauge where he thinks they are in negotiations, especially if we just heard from House Democratic leadership.
I do. Makes you feel taller. So grateful to be with you all, and I'm sorry we're in this situation again. It's like Groundhog Day in a way, the bad movie, where we come back to the same failed measures of the Democrats. It was just less than 3 months ago that they shut the government down for the longest period in history, 43 days. It was painful for so many Americans. Finally, a handful of them saw the light and helped us to get the government operating again. Republicans have demonstrated over and over that we are the grown-ups in the room. We are the ones that are governing. We are the ones that are funding the government. We are the ones that are providing the vital services and trying to make government work more efficiently and effectively for everyone. After that long historic shutdown that was so painful, appropriators in both parties got together. I tip my hat to Chairman Tom Cole of the House Republican chair of the Appropriations Committee and all of our committee members. The Cardinals, the subcommittee chairs, as we call them, all worked so well in their areas, and we got 12 separate appropriations bills passed through the House, and we had a triumphant press conference announcing that. We expected it to be on a glide path through the Senate, but of course the Democrats could not miss an opportunity to try to shut the government down again. That's what they're doing. Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats play games with government funding. Now, listen, the president obviously has reached out to state and local officials in the state of Minnesota. The events there have been tragic and unnecessary. He's made clear his desire to de-escalate the situation and to support an honest investigation of what's occurred there. We now have Tom Homan in charge of operations there, and he's an extraordinary leader. He has 40 years experience. He's highly decorated, has worked in Democrat and Republican administrations, and knows what he's doing. And there's more order being brought to the chaos. Now, I want to hasten to say that the chaos is because, in large measure, the local and state officials in Minnesota have not been participating with federal law enforcement operations, and they've created a dangerous situation there, and that is really a big part of the problem here. The White House and the Senate continued in good faith. They've agreed to separate the Homeland Security funding bill, and that's fine. So we have 2 weeks now to negotiate in good faith on both sides. The White House and Senate Democrats are going to engage in that, but the House Republicans are as well. We have to make sure we maintain the important parameters here. We can't go down the road of amnesty. You can't, in any way, lighten the enforcement requirement of federal immigration law. That's what the American people demand and deserve. We want dangerous illegal criminals to be sent out of the country, and they've been very successful at that. But these negotiations are going to go forward. If the Democrats do insist on keeping the government shut down, their pointless obstruction is going to have no effect on border security, which we have done, we've secured, or immigration enforcement. As has been noted by the leaders here this morning, we did fund ICE operations for a few years now. So what they'll be shutting down, don't lose this, what they'll be shutting down is FEMA operations as we're cleaning up from the winter storms. They'll be shutting down TSA, which is obviously necessary to keep the country moving through our airports. Coast Guard operations. I mean, so many important functions in the Department of Homeland Security is what will be adversely affected by these partisan games. Let's hope and pray that they don't do that. Let's hope that over the next 2 weeks we can negotiate and get this done. They say they want a real negotiation with President Trump and Republicans over immigration enforcement policy, and we are happy to have that debate. And I've said in a gaggle earlier this morning that what must be a part of that discussion is the participation of blue cities in federal immigration enforcement. You can't go to a sanctuary city and pretend like the law doesn't apply there. It does. And so we're going to be working through all that. Our chairwoman McClain talked about tax filing made easy. Last week marked the beginning of tax season, and millions of American families are working through that right now, and they're recognizing the amount of time and money spent complying with the federal tax code is going to be significantly reduced this year because of great Republican policy. some of the things we did in the Working Families Tax Cuts, the big, beautiful bill. Obviously, we intended to cut taxes and to advance America First pro-growth policies, but we also sought to reduce the tax burden on Americans because we know that reforming the tax system isn't just about reducing rates. It's also about reducing the paperwork and the compliance burden on Americans. And you heard these stats, I'll repeat them, but our Working Families Tax Cut locked in the doubled standard deduction. It boosted it further to $31,500 for American families. That's a lot of money to hardworking folks. And again, we remind you Democrats voted against all of those great reforms. These successful reforms are going to save Americans 210 million hours per year in paperwork and $13 billion in compliance costs. That's real money to real people. And we're proud of that. Nobody likes paying taxes, okay? But Republicans have reduced the amount you owe and made your returns significantly easier to file. And so we're so grateful everyone's going to be able to take advantage of that. Last thing I just want to mention, and we'll take questions. I don't think the American people need any more evidence the Democrats want to tax the American people to death. Just check congress.gov. You can see all the bills they filed. But if they did, they should look no further than the Democrat-run D.C. Council's decision, listen to this, to decouple the local tax code from specific federal tax provisions. So in layman's terms, what they're trying to do here, any Democrat-run city is going to lead into this kind of nonsense, but they're preventing D.C. residents from experiencing the full benefits of the Working Families Tax Cuts bill. It's almost unimaginable that they would inflict that pain upon their own constituents, but that's what they're doing. D.C. is not alone in this obstruction. You've got strongholds, Democrat strongholds like New York and Colorado and Illinois, cities there, preventing their residents from enjoying these benefits. There's no way to spin it. Blue state governors intentionally harming their own residents just because the policies were offered by a Republican administration. I mean, that's what's happening. And it's just incredible to us. Is there any stronger evidence that Republicans are the party of affordability? Democrats say one thing and they do completely the opposite. And I'm so sad for you if you live in one of those jurisdictions. It's a real problem. If this act were to become local law, D.C. residents would be prevented from claiming no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, the increased standard deduction, and so much more. And it's just wrong. There's an estimated 17,000 tipped workers here in the nation's capital, and the D.C. City Council is attempting to prevent them from enjoying this historic tax benefit. But House Republicans are going to work to fix it this week. We will advance Representative Gill's legislation to disapprove of that nonsense at the D.C. Council, because every American deserves to enjoy the benefits of the Republicans' historic tax cuts, even if you live in a Democrat stronghold. Have to take a couple questions. Bill, go ahead.
Thank you, Speaker Johnson. Are you confident you have the votes for this rule book to pass, and do you expect any Republican no votes at all?
I don't, and this may be hard for some of y'all to believe, but I never doubted this. This was not this is not my preferred route. I wanted to keep all 6 bills together. We worked so hard to pass them through the House, and I thought that should have been a package that sailed through the Senate, got to the president's desk, so we can fund government responsibly. We're spending less money year over year, and we're returning regular order around here, and that's a commitment I made when I became Speaker, and we're finally getting it done. But listen, the president agreed with Schumer that they would separate Homeland, and we'll do that, and we'll handle it. We're going to pass the rule today. It was never in doubt to me. The Republicans are going to do the responsible thing. I did talk to Hakeem Jeffries over the weekend, and he informed me that they would not be assisting in this endeavor, and I just think that's crazy. I mean, I just think that everybody needs to look at what's happening here. One party is moving forward, by the way, with the smallest margin in U.S. history. We have a 1-vote margin. We are still sticking together. The Republican Party is sticking together because the stakes are so high. We're governing responsibly, and we're getting the job done. And Democrats, all they do every single day here is obstruct. And you can see the record for itself. They shut the government down for 43 days, the longest in history, just last fall, and they want to do it again. And it's just crazy. And I think the American people are going to think about this hard when they go to the voting box and to the ballot box in the fall, and we decide who keeps the majority in Congress. I think they're going to give it to the grown-ups. I think the Republicans will be able to continue and grow our majority to keep governing. Otherwise, what Democrats will give you is chaos. Shutdowns. They'll shut down the federal government. They keep proving it to you over and over. So take them at their word. Jay.
Mr. Speaker. Explain this. So Jeffries told you he wasn't going to help with this. Did Schumer represent something different to you in your conversations with the president? Because it seems that there's a disconnect here that's hard to square.
It is hard to square, and it's not my place to get involved in their family squabble. But I mean, I think Hakeem has made very clear I think he was offended that Chuck Schumer presumed to speak for House Democrats. So you'll have to figure that out. The Democrats are in a family squabble over there, and it's not of our doing.
Mr. Speaker.
Wait a minute. Schumer and Jeffries are from the same state. They're in the same delegation, and they seem to be having a little power struggle between the two of them. So look, I'm not trying to fuel that. You asked me the question. I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you the Republicans are united, and I'm proud of that. And this is the party that is getting the job done.
Mr. Speaker. You're a constitutional lawyer. Can you detail the Fourth Amendment protections and rights someone has if an ICE agent approaches their home with an administrative warrant?
Yeah, right. Let me say this. Okay, so when ICE goes to execute a warrant, it's an administrative warrant, and it's issued by an immigration judge, and that is a sufficient legal authority to go and apprehend someone. They have violated the law. They crossed over our border illegally, and they're here and without any right to be here. Okay, that's what's happening now. The controversy has erupted where if someone is, they're going to be apprehended and they run behind a closed door and lock the door, I mean, what is ICE supposed to do? What is Immigration Customs Enforcement supposed to do at that point? Oh, gee whiz, they locked the door. I mean, I guess we'll just go on to our, so there's some logic and reason that is to be applied here. Some have complained that the force has been excessive or what have you. I don't know. We're going to figure that out as part of the discussion over the next couple of weeks. I tell you what the Democrats want to do and what we cannot do, and that is they want to add an entirely new layer of warrant requirement. Okay, they want to have a judicial warrant on top of the immigration judge warrant, and we can't do that. Just think of it logically. Okay, you've got maybe 20 million illegals who came across the border just in the last 4 years when the Biden-Harris administration opened the border wide. Okay, imagine if we had to go through the process of getting a judicial warrant, an additional warrant, to go and apprehend people who we know are here illegally. How much time would that take? We don't have enough judges. We don't have enough time. It would take decades probably to do that. The people who are advocating for that don't want any immigration enforcement. They do not want anybody to be sent out of the country who's here illegally, and that is blatantly what their cause is. So we've got to apply reason. We do have to apply the Constitution. We have to respect it. And those parameters need to be determined. But I can tell you that we are never going to go along with adding an entirely new layer of judicial warrants because it is unimplementable. It cannot be done, and it should not be done, and it's not necessary.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. In 2023, I remember this, you chaired a hearing after the FBI had that raid on Mark Hub, the pro-life father.
Yep.
And that was something that I think to this day Republicans say was a problem in the use of force by this government.
Yeah.
And my question now is obviously we understand ICE's legitimate purpose, but we've seen guns drawn on Americans who have not necessarily protesters. We've seen people pulled out of their houses, to your point about the warrants. Do you think ICE needs to change, and CBP, any of their tactics, given what your concerns about civil liberties from the past?
I have great faith and trust in the leadership of Homeland Security and Tom Homan in particular, who's now in charge in Minnesota. He brings 40 years' experience to this. He's very measured. We all believe that immigration policy ought to be balanced and strategic and smart, and it obviously needs to comply with the law. And I'm going to leave it to the experts to determine what that is. I think in the negotiation, I think we've got to remove the politics. We've got to look at what the Constitution says, what federal immigration law says, and if anybody wants to adjust immigration law, then that's why we're here in the legislative branch. But we need it. We need that approach. We need the temperature turned down. That's the president's words. And you need a steady hand at the wheel. I think.
Do you have any concerns?
Mr.
Speaker.
Yeah, I just want to circle back on the judicial warrant situation. Can you just explain to me why we're talking about adding additional requirements? Adding a judicial warrant is adding an additional requirement to this process. I mean, immigration advocacy groups for years have said, don't open the door for immigration agents without a signed warrant from a judge. ICE's own field manual says entering a home without a warrant is typically a violation of the Fourth Amendment. How is this raising requirement? Isn't this the MO for how things normally work?
No, I mean, look, the question is to the Democrats who are ringing the bells and saying that they're trying to make this one of their demands in this negotiation. That's what I'm told. Some of them have. And I'm saying that is a road that we cannot and should not go down. And to your point, ICE, for many years, obviously, has had in the manuals that you follow the Fourth Amendment restrictions and you do this in a meaningful and thoughtful way. But we have an unprecedented level of opposition and pushback. When you have local and state officials informing their citizens that they should impede the immigration, customs, and enforcement operations, it creates a dangerous situation, and that's what's led to all of this chaos. If the governors and the mayors in the blue cities and states would participate with federal law enforcement, we wouldn't even be having these conversations. I mean, you would have a much smoother process, I think. So, look, we're going to have all these discussions over the next couple of weeks. We will figure out a path through this, but we have to enforce our immigration law. The American people made that the number one issue in the last election. The wide open border and the chaos that ensued because of it was the number one issue. The president got to work. We used the existing law that was on the books, as we always said, as I said, for 4 years under the Biden administration could have happened, and we closed the border tight. In just a couple of months, we've had almost zero illegals released into the country since President Trump took over. Strong leadership. And the next commitment was, as we said to the American people, we will get the dangerous criminal illegals out of the country. And that's what they've been doing. And for anybody to impede that, they are impeding the will of the American people. They are creating a more dangerous situation on our streets, and it has to stop. So stay tuned for the rest of this. We'll get into the details of it. I'm just telling you that adding a whole new layer of judicial warrant requirements is an unworkable proposal. And I think the people who are making that suggestion understand that. I don't think they want anyone to be apprehended inside of the country. So
that is House Speaker Mike Johnson speaking there, answering questions about this vote that we're still waiting for here today. Some things that I thought were pretty noteworthy. He's confident that a spending bill package will pass, although it's not all the 6 bills to combine that he had wanted. Obviously, the debate is over whether or not the Department of Homeland Security should get that increase. They want to make that separate. House Democrats and Senate Democrats do. Another thing, though, at the end there I thought was interesting, just as we head off the break, though, he said that immigration was the number one issue. One of the high issues for sure for the administration campaign and for voters, but the economy overwhelmingly by a number of different polls, including from Gallup and others, that was the top priority for most Americans. I believe you would probably see across the board. Still, immigration was one of the top issues for sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Live Impact News. Okay, thank you for sticking with us here for Live Impact News. Right now, we are going to go out to California, where NFL officials are giving an update on how they're going to keep everyone safe. Security protocols for the big game that's coming up very, very soon. The matchup for the Super Bowl this year between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. But what does that mean for your local enforcement there in the area? How will they maintain security? Let's listen.
We are encouraging everyone to download the NFL One Pass app. That One Pass app is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about attending the Super Bowl and game day. Entry times and locations are on there, maps, rideshare information, clear bag policy, prohibited items. Once you do arrive at the campus, we've tried to make it as easy to get around as possible. Follow the color coding on your ticket to enter through the correct gate. Observe the clear bag policy, and remember that prohibited items, including drones and weapons of any kind, are not permitted, so please leave those at home. Again, all of this information can be found on your OnePass app. There are temporary flight restrictions throughout the week around the Super Bowl experience and on game day in Santa Clara. The Super Bowl 60 is a no-drone zone, and all flight restrictions will be actively enforced. You can find all the details you need on flight restrictions at FAA.gov. With that, I'm going to turn over to our public safety partners to provide you with some additional details, and I'm going to start off with our lead coordinator, Jeff Brannigan, federal coordinator from a special agent from the Department of Homeland Security. Jeff?
Thank you, Chief Lanier. Good morning. My name is Jeff Brannigan. I'm the Department of Homeland Security's designated federal coordinator for Super Bowl 60 and the acting special agent charged for Homeland Security investigations in Northern California. I want to take a moment to thank our partners in public safety for the Super Bowl. NFL Chief Security Officer Kathy Lanier, FBI Special Agent in Charge Sanjay Vermani, Santa Clara Chief of Police Corey Morgan, San Francisco Chief of Police Derek Liu, and San Jose Chief of Police Paul Joseph. I'd also like to recognize those partners not represented here who are playing essential roles in ensuring the security and safety of the Super Bowl. Law enforcement, fire, and emergency management professionals from 9 Bay Area counties, our other federal law enforcement partners from the ATF, DEA, U.S. Secret Service, the Federal Air Marshal Service, and Customs and Border Protection, and our many other colleagues within the Department of Homeland Security, including staff from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the Transportation Security Administration. DHS and its federal partners have been committed to protecting people at the Super Bowl for nearly 20 years. The security of the Super Bowl is necessarily a combined effort between federal, state, and local public safety agencies, the NFL, and regional government leaders. But security and safety also require the support of the public, the fans, business owners, and community members across the Bay Area. Homeland Security's If You See Something, Say Something campaign reminds all of us to stay alert to and report suspicious activity to law enforcement. I ask that whether you live here or you're visiting for the game, please partner with us in public safety. Trust your instincts and report any concerns to law enforcement. Federal law enforcement, intelligence, cybersecurity, and physical security professionals are working alongside our state and local colleagues across the Bay Area to keep our residents and an estimated 1.3 million expected visitors safe during all pregame and game events. For me, security in the Bay Area is personal, as I know it is for those joining me on the stage today. I live and work here. I have family and friends across the Bay Area, and I am grateful to be a part of this community. Our collective security planning and preparation has been deliberate and layered, focused on countering a wide array of threats. We've shared intelligence, ensured the introduction of key countermeasures, and shored up our emergency response capabilities while remaining flexible and adaptable. In the days ahead, there will be a significant increase in federal personnel, including federal law enforcement across the region. These professionals are here with the specific and strict purpose of directly supporting the Super Bowl-related security plans of the cities of Santa Clara, San Francisco, and San Jose. You will see federal tactical teams working with local SWAT personnel, federal aircraft monitoring regional airspace,
and uniformed officers manning various security screening technologies. All these personnel are working as part of the larger federal security effort in direct support of our local partners to ensure a safe and secure event for everyone. On behalf of the many federal employees working the Super Bowl, thanks again to our partners, our local partners, and the NFL for a tremendous level of collaboration over the past year. I look forward to a great week and an exciting game on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Now I'll turn over our Special Agent in Charge from the FBI, Sanjay Ramani.
Thanks, Chief Lanier. Good morning. My name is Sanjay Ramani, Special Agent in Charge of the FBI's San Francisco Field Office. Super Bowl 60 is one of our largest and most complex security operations our region has ever supported. This week is a culmination of more than a year of planning. The FBI San Francisco Division has been preparing with our partners to ensure the safety of fans, players, staff, and the communities hosting events throughout the Bay Area. The FBI provides intelligence and operational support for the Super Bowl. The FBI is proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with our federal, state, and local partners, many of whom are here today to protect this historic event. The FBI is operating a full-time joint command center alongside our law enforcement and public safety partners for the entire week of the Super Bowl events. Inside that command center, FBI agents, intelligence analysts, and technical specialists, along with our partners, are working around the clock to collect and assess threat information and to share intelligence in real time and to coordinate rapid responses if needed. This unified structure ensures that information flows immediately across agencies and jurisdictions so that we can act quickly and decisively. The FBI is working closely with the Federal Aviation Administration to enforce the temporary flight restrictions and the no-drone zone around the stadium. The FBI will lead the effort to detect and mitigate unauthorized drones in the restricted airspace around Levi Stadium. We have also deployed our specialty trained tactical personnel to include our SWAT team, bomb technicians, and hazardous device specialists. These teams have trained together in advance so that if a critical incident were to occur, the response would be seamless and immediate. Our goal is simple: for fans to enjoy the Super Bowl safely and confidently. The public's awareness is also an important part of the safety for event. So as my colleague said, if you see something suspicious, please say something. We are very proud to help protect this community and this global event. We are ready. Thank you.
Thanks, Sanjay. All right. My favorite local partner now, Chief of Police Corey Morgan.
Thank you, Chief Lanier. Good morning. I'm Chief Corey Morgan of the Santa Clara Police Department. This is our second time hosting the Super Bowl, and I want to briefly take you back to Super Bowl 50. When that game was awarded, Santa Clara had not yet hosted a major event at Levi Stadium. 12 years later, we've hosted more than 200 major events, including Super Bowl 50. That experience matters. It's given us a clear understanding of what it takes to safely host an event of this scale and significance. The biggest takeaway is simple. Major events are built on strong partnerships and clear coordination. For this Super Bowl, the Santa Clara Police Department is the lead public safety agency for planning and coordination, working closely with our local, regional, state, and federal partners. Working alongside the partners represented on this stage here today, more than 50 public safety agencies from across the region are contributing personnel, resources, and expertise to this effort. That level of coordination gives me confidence in our readiness. We have a comprehensive public safety plan in place that addresses a wide range of contingencies and is built on coordination, communication, and flexibility. I'm confident in the planning that's been done and in the professionals that will be executing that plan. I do want to take a moment to recognize the men and women of the Santa Clara Police Department who have dedicated countless hours over the past 2 years to this effort. as well as our entire department, who will continue providing day-to-day public safety services for our community while we host this global event. At the end of the day, our goal is simple: for fans, families, and residents to enjoy a safe and memorable Super Bowl experience. You'll see a strong public safety presence, and there will also be many security measures that you won't see. We ask the public to help us. If you see something, say something. I'm excited for Sunday. It's going to be a beautiful day in Santa Clara, and we are ready.
All right, and before I introduce Chief of Police from San Francisco Police Department, Derek Liu, I will say many, many years ago in my law enforcement career, we learned a lot from the San Francisco Police Department. They are the pioneers of problem-oriented policing, and they have been absolutely amazing to work with. The level of skill and talent they have and the connection they have to the community is really just unbelievable. So, Chief?
Thank you, Chief, and good morning. Good morning, and thank you to the NFL and to our law enforcement partners joining today. This is an exciting time for San Francisco and our entire region. The eyes of the world are upon us as we celebrate and prepare for Sunday's Super Bowl. The San Francisco Police Department has been preparing for months for this event. We've been working in close coordination with all our local, state, and federal partners, ensuring that this event is both fun and safe. Given that this is a Tier 1 event, we put forth all our resources in preparation, planning, and coordination for this week. All available SFPD officers will be on duty, working on a mobilized schedule throughout the week. All time off has been canceled. Our officers are concentrated around all major Super Bowl events here at Moscone Center, at Yerba Buena Gardens, Bill Graham Civic Auditorium, and at all other events, both large and small. We also have a full deployment of officers at San Francisco International Airport, welcoming in players, visitors, and dignitaries to our city. Our number one priority is to ensure San Francisco is safe, and I'm confident it will be. San Francisco and the SFPD has a lot of experience hosting major events, including Super Bowl 50 10 years ago. This event will be even better. Time and time again, these major events are fun and safe because of the hard work of our SFPD officers and our close coordination with our public safety partners. We will be communicating with them throughout the week at our regional command centers, where we will be monitoring events in real time. I can say with the highest confidence that we're ready. For anyone visiting San Francisco on this special occasion, know that anywhere you go in the city, it will be safe. All 10 district stations and neighborhoods are staffed to respond to any other emergencies that are not related to the Super Bowl. Our public safety resources will not be impacted. Visit our local restaurants and bars, see our world-class sites, enjoy San Francisco, and see why it's the greatest city on the planet. We have additional requests from the public. We ask for your patience. There will be street closures and traffic will be impacted. Please visit the SFMTA's website for all transit updates so you can navigate around the city. Take public transportation or walk when possible, since driving may be challenging in some areas. Also, stay vigilant. With any major events, there is the potential for someone to cause harm. If you see something, say something. We will check it out and ensure there are no threats to the public. I know there will be a lot of people out having fun this week, but please celebrate responsibly. Don't consume too much alcohol and never drive if you're intoxicated. Take public transportation, a taxi, or a ride share. There's no excuse not to. Once again, the SFPD, the City of San Francisco, and our entire region is honored to host this event. Our officers are eager and excited to welcome everyone into our city. Thank you again to the NFL for giving us this honor, and thank you to our law enforcement partners for working with us to keep everyone safe. We're ready.
Okay, we just wanted to let you see that as preparations are underway for Super Bowl Sunday there in California, in which the Seattle Seahawks will be going against the New England Patriots. the biggest sports event in our nation, arguably, right? But the big topic of concern, I guess, is safety. And also, there have been protests in the area for people who are wanting ICE officers to stay away from the game. And we did just see something from the Washington Post saying they got the hand on a memo that there is no planned immigration enforcement effort for the Super Bowl at this time. So we'll see how that continues to evolve here in the next few days. Before we get off of the stream, we did want to show you right now that the House, again, is set to vote on this government spending bill and looking at a resolution right now. We heard from House Speaker moments ago saying that he expected things to pass today. But right now for this vote, I do believe they first have to do a procedural vote, and then it would be the main actual vote. But this currently looks like it is failing. So we'll try to get more information for you as we go into the end of this stream, because that would obviously put a little bit of a wrench into the plans of the House Speaker and lawmakers, and for anybody who is affected by this partial government shutdown. We're going to get more information about this vote, what it actually means, and what it could mean moving forward. We're going to end our stream now. There will be another stream from 1 to 3 today for Live Impact News right here. But next we'll have 13 News Now at noon. That will take place with Ashley Smith. And hopefully we'll have more context to this at that time. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back with Sarah tomorrow at 10 a.m.